Hello, friends, and welcome back to Stories About Entitled People. Today's story has everything: entitled HOA board members, bogus fines, and homeowners who weren't afraid to fight back. But before we begin, best way to support our channel is to leave comments, like, and subscribe with the turned-on bell so you don't miss the new video every single day. Here we go. When your HOA doesn't understand its own rules. We live in a townhouse community that backs onto a golf course. My husband bought this place before we married, and while we've thought about moving, his mom's health means we're staying put for now. And honestly, I wouldn't mind so much if it weren't for the HOA. A few weeks ago, we got a letter in the mail. It said our deck must be power washed and stained to meet community standards. My husband was already planning on power washing it, but staining in the middle of winter? Not happening. The HOA has never cared about the backside of the houses as long as they look tidy, but suddenly it was a violation. While I was stewing over that, I bumped into our neighbor. She's an older woman who's lived here for over 20 years. She has a concrete slab patio instead of a deck, and she was furious because she got a letter too. Hers said she was responsible for landscaping the patch of grass between her end-unit townhouse and the next one. She threw her hands up and said, "Oh, hell no, I don't even own that land." And she's right. In our community, homeowners only own walls in. Anything outside those walls, decks, fences, landscaping, common ground, is the HOA's responsibility. I do compliance work for a living, so I told her, tell them to check their own rules. You don't own the ground, so you're not responsible for maintaining it. She did. They doubled down, sent another letter insisting it was her responsibility. She came back to me asking what she should do. I told her to quote the HOA bylaws back to them, the ones that clearly state walls in only, and remind them that if they're making homeowners responsible for decks, patios, and outside maintenance, then technically all of us should be reimbursed for years of upkeep we've already paid out of pocket. That shut him up for a week. Then she got another letter, this time with an estimate for the landscaping work, $2,500. She laughed in their faces and told them, take me to court. I'll bring every single homeowner who got a deck letter, and the judge can decide who's responsible. They must have thought she was bluffing. She wasn't. When the HOA tried to push it further, she actually got legal advice and showed up to the next board meeting with her deed and the bylaws. And she wasn't alone. Word had spread, and half a dozen neighbors who got the same ridiculous deck letter showed up too. She told the board, "You've been enforcing rules you don't even have the authority for. You want to go to court? Fine. But when you lose, you'll not only be stuck with court costs, you'll also have to explain to every homeowner here why their dues went to cover your stupidity." The room went quiet. The HOA president tried to save face with, "This is just a misunderstanding. We were only trying to keep property values up." My husband muttered loud enough for the whole room to hear, "Funny how property values only go up when we're paying their bills." There were chuckles from the crowd, and the board didn't like that one bit. 2 weeks later, like magic, the letter stopped. No more demands to stain decks, no more $2,500 landscaping responsibilities, nothing. And here's the cherry on top. My neighbor didn't let it drop. She filed a formal complaint with the county housing authority about the HOA trying to force owners to pay for things outside their deeded responsibility. Turns out this HOA has had similar complaints in the past, and now they're under review for overreach and improper enforcement. At the next community meeting, the board looked like they'd rather be anywhere else. They backpedaled so hard it was almost comical, promising to review policies and realign with governing documents. Everyone knew what that meant. They got caught, and they were terrified of losing their power. What I love is how she handled it. Most people would have grumbled, maybe written a polite letter. She basically said, "Cool, see you in court, and I'm bringing backup." And our second story. He refuses to work, but still thinks he deserves a throne. My daughter's 32-year-old female, live-in boyfriend, 34-year-old male, and the father of our grandchild, of whom we have custody, has a level of entitlement I frankly cannot understand. I'm just left with my mouth gaping open at his attitude. He moved to our state 5+ years ago, following our daughter after he was evicted from his family's homes for being a deadbeat. Both his mother and aunt have kicked him out and will not allow him to return. His mother kept his dog and kicked her son out. That's funny to me. Since his arrival, he's not held a regular job for more than a week. His most recent example was him working for a grocery store in the deli. He quit after a week when they passed him over for an assistant manager spot. A week! He started many jobs in the past 5 years and quits nearly immediately after they offend him in some way, which usually is a trumped-up reason based on some slight offense, mostly not treating him like the royalty he thinks he is. Another example, friend of a friend got him a job on a construction site. He just had to arrive with safety boots and he'd be guaranteed to have a job holding a sign that said slow/stop on it. Just stand there and hold the sign. He missed the start date. However, he lucked out as the FOAF involved was sick that first day and they rescheduled to start for the following week. Boyfriend didn't show. No job for you. He's done some DoorDash and similar gig work, but he'll only do it if his girlfriend goes along so she can do the jump out and get/drop the package part of the gig. He just wants to drive. This means that he's only willing to work when she isn't at work. This is now moot since their cars have been repossessed. Daughter later lost her $25 an hour full-time job. Her fault, see below TLDR note, and is now cleaning houses/Airbnb/apartments as gig work. She's their sole income source. At one point, he got into a state program that gave you a place to live, gave you employment counseling, meds, and worked to integrate you into society. He didn't last a week after he refused to participate in group counseling sessions, and of course, participation is a requirement for the program. There was a time where our daughter was in jail/rehab where he didn't have a place to live and was living on the street. He'd rather do that than get a job. He also refused to stay in a shelter. It was beneath him. There's certainly a victim component here. Nothing's ever his fault. Everything happens to him, and it's all terribly unfair. He has to be the center of attention. He left a play date with his kids after they weren't paying enough attention to him. There's an entire history here that rapidly gets into TLDR territory. Alcohol, DV charges, child neglect, TPOs, etc. They're all relatively minor misdemeanor charges and issues, the kind of things the judge gives you probation for. He's also failing to participate in any of his probation requirements and is likely to be violated soon. Most of what seems to be missing is, to me, basic self-preservation. If I meet my probation requirements, I don't go to jail. If I work this week, I can buy food. He seems to lack any awareness of cause and effect. For the record, he spent about a week in jail after the DV thing and was calling his girlfriend multiple times per day to bail him out. He doesn't like jail, but won't do anything to avoid it. She did bail him out, and he missed his court date afterward. I just can't understand that he doesn't seem to understand that if you work, then you can eat and sleep in a bed. His avoidance of employment and any form of responsibilities like some sort of compulsion or mental illness. There's nothing rational about it. It strains my liberal brain, the part that says, give people a hand up, not a hand out. He only wants the hand out. Any hand up is refused. Not to be negative, but the best thing for him and everyone in his life is that he goes to jail. For at least 5 years, so your daughter can outgrow him and move on without him. And our next story. You want to steal a handicap spot? Then you can sit there all night, officer. Back in the late 90s, my dad and I decided to go watch a movie at the local mall. My dad's a paraplegic, though he's fiercely independent and drives a specially modified car. For him, handicapped parking isn't a luxury, it's a necessity. The wider space makes all the difference when maneuvering his wheelchair. When we arrived, though, our usual handicap spot wasn't available. Why? Because a police cruiser was parked there. No placard, no emergency, no nothing. Just an entitled cop popping into the pharmacy. My dad muttered, figures, the ones who should know better never do. Instead of hunting for another far-off spot, my dad chose the perfect revenge. He parked directly behind the squad car, not blocking traffic, just that one spot, boxed in neatly. Then we headed off to enjoy our movie and dinner. We didn't rush, we made a whole evening of it. 5 hours later, we returned to the car. I walked ahead while Dad stopped to pay for parking. That's when I was met with a sight that nearly made me laugh out loud. A red-faced cop, built like a buffalo and sweating like one too, was waiting for me. Is this your car? He barked, practically shaking with rage. Yes, I said calmly. That was all the permission he needed to unleash a storm of profanity. He called me every name in the book, flinging insults so fast it was like he'd rehearsed them. Then I saw the windshield plastered with at least 5 parking tickets. every single one written in a rush, as if sheer paper volume could make up for the fact he was dead wrong. I let him rant, didn't say a word, just folded my arms and waited. Then my dad rolled up. And oh, the look on that cop's face, priceless. He froze mid-insult, his mouth still open but no words coming out. Suddenly, all the fire drained from him, and he realized he wasn't yelling at some punk kid. He was yelling at a man in a wheelchair, the actual driver of the car. Dad squinted at him. "So that's your cruiser in the handicap spot?" The cop stammered, "I was just in the pharmacy." My dad cut him off. "For 5 hours?" The guy scrambled to cover himself, babbling apologies, and started ripping the tickets off our windshield. "Hold it right there," Dad said sharply. "What exactly are you doing?" I'll just tear these up. No harm done." "No," Dad interrupted, his voice steady as stone. "You don't get to write bogus tickets to cover your own screw-up and then quietly erase them. I'd love to have my day in court. Let's see how a judge feels about a cop illegally using a handicap spot and then trying to bury the evidence." The cop went pale. He begged. He pleaded. He even tried the classic, "Let's not make this a big deal." But Dad just wheeled closer, looking him dead in the eye. "You humiliated my son, you abused your badge, and you broke the law. I don't think this needs to disappear quietly. I think this needs to go to your captain." And that's exactly what happened. A week later, mall security, who knew my dad well and often helped him with loading his chair when he came alone, told us to the fallout. The incident had been reported to the police department, complete with witness statements from security and a copy of the bogus tickets the officer had written. The officer was suspended for misconduct and ticket tampering. Rumor was he lost his cushy mall beat altogether and was reassigned to midnight patrol in the roughest part of the city. In other words, karma with a badge. As Dad said with a grin the next time we parked, "Feels good to know justice still works, even without a gavel." Wow, a policeman who waited 5 hours for the owner of the car with no handicap sign that was blocking him illegally parked in handicapped parking? Unbelievable. And our last story. Karen tried to belittle the assistant. Turns out he owned the company. When I was 24, I opened my own insurance agency. I'd been in the industry since I was 20. Not a grizzled veteran, but experienced enough to take the leap. The catch? I look younger than I am. Casual clothes, baby face, the type of guy people mistake for an intern fetching coffee instead of the one running the show. The business model was straightforward. I was an insurance broker connecting clients with policies through wholesalers. If the client bought, I made commission. The wholesaler got their cut, and everyone was happy. One summer morning, my friend, who helped me part-time, called. "Alex, someone from a wholesaler's dropping by in half an hour. Big opportunity. Don't screw it up." I rushed in late, dressed casually, t-shirt, skinny jeans, sneakers, and just as I sat down, my friend ducked out for coffee and a smoke. Then the door opened. In swept Karen. She was overdressed for the weather, heels clicking, perfume flooding the room. She didn't even look at me before snapping, "I'm here to meet Alex." "Sure," I said evenly. "Take a seat in the meeting room. He'll be with you shortly." She strode in like she owned the place, sat down and pulled out her phone. A few minutes later, she called out, "Hey, don't you people offer drinks? I need an iced latte. Go grab me one. Make sure it's almond milk, not regular. You can keep the change." She slapped a crumpled $5 bill on the table like she was tipping a valet. I blinked. "Excuse me? I'm not going to run out and get you coffee. If you'd like water, it's cold." Karen's eyes narrowed. Wow, that's some attitude for office staff. If this is how Alex runs things, no wonder you're stuck fetching coffee. Just then, my friend walked back in, crisp button-down, khakis, looking every bit the professional. Karen's face lit up. "Ah, you must be Alex. I was just explaining how your assistant here doesn't understand hospitality." My friend smirked. "Sorry, I'm not Alex. He's Alex." He pointed at me. Karen froze. Color drained from her face. I stepped forward and smiled coldly. "Yeah, I'm Alex, and you can get your own latte on the way out. Meeting's over." Her jaw worked like she wanted to argue, but she slammed her phone shut, scooped up her crumpled bill, and stormed out. The door hadn't even closed before my friend doubled over laughing. "Dude, she thought you were an assistant. She tried to tip you." I shrugged, and now she's blacklisted. On to the next. A few hours later, the wholesaler's office called. "Hi, Alex. We heard our rep stopped by. She said there was a misunderstanding. Would you like to reschedule a proper meeting?" I didn't even hesitate. "No. If that's how your people operate, I'm not interested. Have a nice day. Click. A few weeks later, I heard whispers. Karen had tried the same stunt at another brokerage, belittling staff, treating the broker like dirt. But that broker had been a longtime client of the wholesaler. She didn't just get dropped from their sales team, she got fired outright. As for me, I partnered with a different wholesaler who treated me with respect and ended up doubling my business within a year. Every time I cash a commission check, I picture Karen, heels clicking out of my office, clutching her $5 bill like it was dignity. I hope she found her almond milk latte. Honestly, I hope she's out there somewhere sipping an almond milk latte and thinking about how badly she fumbled the bag while you're cashing commission checks from people who actually know how to treat a professional. Hey guys, thank you all for watching the video. I'll see you in the next one.